Hello, and welcome. Welcome once again to another edition of AMB Animation Livestream, the place to learn real animator training. This whole session of streams is brought to you by AMB Animation and the Real Animator Training Library, the ultimate place to learn hand-drawn animation, as you will see in today's stream. If you are interested in joining many other artists, reclaim their lives, reclaim their dreams, start to actually make it real, start to actually see things happening for real, then just visit ambanimation.com, go to Real Animator Training and click on Join the Real Animator Training Library. A bold claim, some of you might think, to hear me say that, but there's nothing that can deny the truth, and the truth is exactly that. And it gives me great pleasure to bring this stream to you today, because we're going to be doing something rather special. As you know, I have this group called Real Animator Training Growth Development on Progress on Facebook, and in there we have library members and non-library members who are joining and sharing their work. So you can see some of the non-members posting their work, and then you can see some of the members who are starting to learn from the Real Animator Training Library what they are accomplishing and what they are doing. Now we have got a whole host of different members within the training library. Some are beginners, some are professionals, some are graduates. The Real Animator Training Library is helping rebuild the dreams and ambitions of practically everyone within the animation realm, no matter what skill you're at. Now, I have been focusing a lot on people who are just doing the beginnings, and so I should, because that's exactly what I'm here to do. I'm here to help people who are beginners. But it's exciting sometimes to get posts from experienced people. And one of the other things that I think is important about this whole thing, and why I'm really happy that Sean has shared his work here and is posting this. Sean has been he's a professional in the industry, and sometimes he comes in the chat. If he can't make it today, that's fine, but he can always see his feedback when I post it in the group later on. Sean is a professional in the industry. He's now doing cutout, I believe, but he is from a 2D hand-drawn lineage of the very highest pedigree. He has been a cleanup artist for Disney, doing cleanup on Disney sequels. I believe he's based in Canada. I could be wrong. And he joined the library some time ago. Now, the reason I'm giving you this little feedback is a lot of people like to try and join the library, or a lot of people sometimes have their own ideas of what they should be doing, and they've very little experience at all, and they just don't want to do these basic exercises. But bear in mind, somebody like Sean has told me numerous times in the chat that he wants to learn from scratch. Okay, so here we have somebody who's an experienced professional. Now, this should be an example to all of you wanting to learn that, there's none of this. There's no arrogance. There's no pride. He's cast it all aside, and he is willing to do these bouncing balls, these swinging pendulums, and, these simple walk cycles. And I've seen some of his tests of these things. So before we begin, this is for all of you in the audience, whether you're in Real Animator Training or not. That's besides the point. The point is ask yourself, if somebody of this kind of background is willing to do that and willing to follow my instruction on these simple things, ask yourself, what have you done? Okay. And why are you not willing to do it? Okay. Why are you not willing to do it? Okay. If you're struggling with that. And I think that that's a very good example. Now, another reason I'm citing this is because he's got that pedigree, he can play and practice a bit with the things he's learning. And he can, it's different people for different things. So, for example, we've got people like Alrens and Dwayne here who are sticking to everything in the library. They're not deviating. That's my prescribed method. Don't deviate from the path. Stick to all my exercises. Don't play around. Don't, this is the way. Okay, here's your path to greatness. Don't stray. Don't deviate. You'll only slow the process down. But that's because they are beginners, amateurs, people with non-professional experience. So that's absolutely fine. That's the way it should be. Therefore, but if you've got somebody who's a little bit more experienced, who's wanting to try these things, he's going to be able to allow himself some leverage to apply what he's learned. And that's what Sean's done here. And he's done a great little test here of his own kind of variation of the pendulum with a bit of character in there. And I think it'll be lovely for me to give Sean some feedback and for you to all see this feedback. I mean, he's posted it in this public group, which obviously I think he's okay with it. Otherwise, he wouldn't have posted it in the group. So it's lovely to give him some feedback. And I'm going to give him some feedback just like back in the old days, when my mentor or my boss or the director of the production was busy, and little AMB would be standing here nervously with his scene, asking him to come and look and approve it. Oh, I hope he approves it. Maybe almost shitting my pants. And sometimes I would nearly black out. I'd be so worried what these people would think of me back in the day, because some of them were, one guy I was extremely hero of was a guy called Uli Meyer, who was designed the Schwackhammer in the Space Jam. And when he wanted me to help him with layouts on his movies, every time I would go to ask him to look at it, I'd be sweating. And I'd be, but it would be very, very helpful, because often they'd put a piece of paper over my drawings. They'd look at the line test and they'd put a piece of paper over my drawings, and they'd draw over it, or they'd tell me what to do. And then as time passed, I found myself in similar positions doing it with other young animators or story artists on other projects. And so I thought it'd be nice to go through Sean's work and break it down and give him little tips and little feedback as into how to improve his work, and you can all get an insight into that. It's obviously not going to be that as professional as it is in the studio environment, because I've got a live audience and I'm playing for time. But let's roll with it. Let's have this little role play and see what it is. Let's see if Sean's in the chat, and let's, before we begin, let's just say hello to a few people. So we've got Mute Midori Animations, Dreamy McStreamy, Bryson Hassel, Kitchicat, Shitty Shigo, Drew B, Zentron, Octavio, Patch Tunes, Mute Midori. Oh, I've said Mute Midori. CN Animation. If animation's hard in your mind, then it's going to be hard, when you do it. Right. Bandor Animations. Aurens, how you doing? Anything Goes. Dylan Draws, Random Door, Vietnam Flashback, GTS Silverson, Andy Peachy. Okay, hey everybody. And Elisandi Rojas. I love that name. Eric, how you doing? Okay, so no Sean. Sean is not around today by the looks of it, but I'm going to post this video in the group when I'm done anyway. So I'm going to be talking to Sean throughout the video. So even though he's not here, I'm going to be saying Sean this, Sean that. So let's just roll that, because I want him to, when he's watching the video, I want him to feel that connection that I'm talking directly to him. Okay, so Sean Pascatuni, let's have a look at your animation sequence. Let's watch it. So Sean, obviously, me and Sean have something in common. I guess we both like fart jokes. So there you go. Right, so this is obviously kind of Sean's little take on the pendulum, I believe, because he's put a bit of character in the ball. He's doing kind of like a sort of bouncing ball test where he's putting some life into the ball, and he's then obviously adding some weight and pendulum swing effect and all these kind of things in there. So I'm gonna systematically, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna look at each little section, or as much of it as I can, Sean, and then I'm gonna suggest to you things that I think you can do and I think you can focus on that'll really lift your game, that'll really up your game, that'll help you work. So let's begin. Let's begin with the snoring cycle. What I like about the snoring cycle is you've added a little vibration in the mouth. Now, I'm not going to animate that. You know how to animate that, and you've got access to the library in the advanced archive on how to do that. Anyway, what I am going to talk to you about is your keys and how you can push them, and your arcs. Okay? So let's just see what's here. Okay, somebody has asked to join. I'll have to invite him later. So we're going to start with your keys. So let's start with your sleeping keys. So I'm going to focus on this one, and then I'm going to focus on this one, which is your extremes first, and then I'm going to focus on this one, which is one of these, and then we're going to come back to this. Okay, so we're going to look at the snoring cycle first, and I'm going to give you a little few pointers about making more dimension in his face, but also about the keys, also about the timing of it all. So I'm not going to animate the whole thing of him swinging and all that. I'm going to do each section, so I'm going to work quite big here, so you can see. We can start with it big, so you can see everything. Okay, so let's have the first key. Okay, so we've got the first key. Now this is a subtle thing, and I know you want the movements to be subtle. So one of the things you've done, I'm gonna make a little copy of your drawing here first, and then I'm going to explain to you what I think you could do to strengthen strengthen the effect. Okay, so you've got the eyes like this, and you've got maybe a little half eye in the distance there, and then we've got this is a little bit lower on yours, and you got a brow line in the middle here, and you got this coming here like that. I'm not going to copy all of your keys. I'm going to copy the first one just so I can tell you what I'm doing, what I suggest you should be doing to it to make it stronger. Okay, so the mouth is open like this. Okay, and then round here you got a little bit of the top of it, which is good. We can see the top, and then you got this, and Sean is a lovely draftsman. He's shared some of his drawings in the group. If you search down the wall, you'll be able to see them. Right, now I'm gonna let's just go in black over this so we can really identify your shapes. Okay, so what you've done is you've put you've flattened him at the bottom here to make him flat, and you put this thing out at the side. Now you've got this thing, and you're adding some eyebrow shape and sitting on top of this thing like that, which is good. Okay, And now we're bringing this under here, and my eyes are a little bit further up than yours, but it's just a quick kind of representation of what you got. And then you've got some things under here, and you've got a little mouth shape coming here like this, and putting a little bit of dimension at the side there like that. And then we've got this happening all here. I'm not going to worry too much about the string. The string could be animated as well in some ways to make it a... Oh, I forgot this thing here. And then you've got these marks running here like this. Okay, so if we bring this in, so just so you can see, so we're on the same page here, this is what I'm talking about. Now I'm going to show you what I think can be done immediately to just add little bits of strengthening things, and how we can strengthen the expression in the character as well. So you've got this kind of little ball thing on him there. Right, so let's work with this. Let's make this yellow, and then let's talk about what we can do. Okay, now I'm just going to work with a bitmap and explain. So we've got this round. Okay, now he's a squidgy character, as we've seen. He splats against the wall and this and that. So what I'm going to think about doing is I'm going to immediately think about adding some, what's it, squidge, I don't know. I don't know what it is. Some effect to make it look like he's grounded. Okay, so I'm going to think about maybe throwing in something like this in the silhouette around here like this, to give him the feel that there's something, you know. I mean, it might even like connect it a little bit with this and draw those contours, and then think about it a little bit later, you know, and then even think about this could even be a bit of cheek hair or whatever, just to really get it as much out of that as we can. Okay, so now we've got this round thing here, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to add my little diamond shape that you all know that I like doing, just to kind of flatten it off, and then in the middle I'm going to add these things here. We can keep it round, but I'm going to change the contour of this to kind of flatten this off. Okay, so I'm going to kind of flatten this off, and this is going to maybe come in this way here. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to really kind of think about the eye line. Okay, if we come in here, the eyes are something I really want you to focus on, Sean. Okay, your eyes, they're simple lines. They're kind of not really as strong as they could be for you know, we want to feel the downward pressure of this character as he's sleeping. Hence I'm talking about these kind of little things here like this, and we really want to feel the eyes in a kind of relaxed down position. So I'm gonna put something like this, and I'm gonna, even though I'm not going to, he hasn't got lids, I'm gonna give him lids just to kind of help me think about the expression when I do it. Because you see, we want to get you away from the cleanup mentality, Sean, which is working with an animator's drawings who probably understands all of this stuff, and we want to have you start to subconsciously put this stuff in your own drawing. So start to feel the weight. Okay, so now again here I'm going to think about him having brows. Okay, again, if we bring your guy in, we see there's these eyebrows are kind of, they're nice, but they're kind of just floating on top of the construction line there. Okay, they're floating on top of the construction line. We want this to read in the drawing that, you know, we want to feel these eyebrows affecting, you know, the structure of the face. Okay, so I'm going to come in here like that, and now I'm going to maybe even push that a little bit, because you've got this little thing in the middle here. Okay, you've got this little kind of brow thing in the middle, but I'm going to change it. Okay, I'm going to do something like this to give him some kind of evenness, not evenness, a sense of brow to him. So if he had a bigger sense of brow, it could be like this. We could even do something like this if we so desired. Okay, to really push that just that little bit. Okay, now I want to think, okay, about linking these kind of eyes in with there like this. Okay, now that's going to help me think about the kind of shape that I'm going to want to put around these rings. Okay, so I'm going to maybe think about the shape around these rings, and I'm gonna leave them like this for now. Okay, I'm gonna give another stab at this drawing. The first drawing is very important. Okay, let's go with this mask effect. The first drawing is very important, and it's these drawings, these extremes, when we're working with something so subtle like this, is where we're really going to make it happen. Okay, so then we've got his mouth. Okay, now I'm going to think of more of a 3/4 pushing with this out here. So I'm kind of wanting to contour this mouth. So we've got this mouth shape like this. Now I want to feel, again, I want to feel the downward pressure on top of the bottom lip. Okay, like this. Okay, so I want to feel that bottom lip. Okay, so I'm going to draw the bottom lip first. Even though you got a rubber ring around his mouth, I'm going to want to have that bottom lip first, and then I'm going to maybe just do something like this on the top of that ring there like this, and then this is going to maybe come around here like that. Okay, and then I'm going to think about all of this business. Just think about all these little structural things in the character's face. Okay, and then I'm not going to do too much about these too much. I think what you've got here is fine. Let's just leave that in there like that. And then we've got the side. So if we've got the side here, I'm gonna maybe think about this being I'm gonna think about maybe offsetting this to this, making this a little bit bigger and offsetting this to this, and then having the line here like this, and then having the angle of this like this. Right. So that is a kind of rough example. Now I'm going to want to retouch a few things, work those eyes a little bit, think about the eye rings, and think about the silhouette. Okay, Sean? So I'm going to just lightly gray this out. Let's make it a little lighter. It's a little strong for me. I don't want to see it so strong. And now the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to think about what can I do about these eye rings, because they're now look, I've got this nice cheek shape here like this. So I'm going to think about maybe doing something like this. Okay, and then maybe doing something on the alternate side, and that'll give me a bit of cheek on this side, you see? So that's making me, now even when I'm not going into cleanup mode here, Sean. I'm not going into cleanup mode. I'm still in drawing mode. So I'm still thinking about contouring of the face and all these kind of things. So if he's resting on the cheek, I'm going to kind of change the eye line just a little bit. So, and then I'm going to put a little bit of that upper lid on there. Not too much, but we're just going to have something like that. Okay. Then I'm going to have this brow. I think I'm going to have his face just a little bit more relaxed, and we're going to bring this out like this. Okay, coming out here like this, and his upper eyebrow is going to sit on top like that. Then this middle bit I'm going to bring in here, and then we're going to bring this around, and I'm going to bring this around here like this, and think about the cheek line here like that, and maybe have this coming up and around here like this. So getting some dimension, and now I'm wanting to think about this outer shape. There we go. That'll frame the brow a little nicer like that. I still feel this eye could be improved a little, but I don't want to spend too much time with that. I'll leave that with you. I've hopefully given you enough information on how to go about approaching that. So this is going to come round here like this. This is going to come here like this. Now we're going to think about this shape, okay, which is going to have the bottom lip, okay, which is coming through. So what I hope you're getting from what I'm doing to this drawing, Sean, is I'm giving it a sense of weight. Okay, This is super advanced stuff that I'm sharing with you now. Okay, I'm giving it a sense. The animation. Okay, the drawing. This is where the drawing part really comes in. Okay, to apply to the animation element. That's kind of helping that eye a bit. Yeah, that's a bit nicer. I'm now really working that illusion of life, okay, to make you look at the drawing and feel that this guy is really sleeping and he's got a real, his muscles inside are just completely relaxed and they're weighted onto the ground. So it's something simple like this. And this is this is why I love working with balls and pendulums, because you see, you got nowhere to run. This is the perfect kind of place to do it. You're really kind of scrutinized or whatever. So here we've got, just give it one more shot because I'm not liking that myself. You see, eyes are super, super important. Okay, gonna bring this up. See the shape of this brow? That's gonna affect. That's nice. That's nice. We're gonna echo the shape of this guy here. There we go. Much better. So you see, if we bring this guy in here, you can see how we've really added this element of weight to this drawing. So now I'm going to focus on the next extreme, Sean, which is where the opening mouth extreme comes up here. What I love about this is I can really see your extremes or in breakdowns where you've really worked the drawing. It's heavy black and then your line goes lighter on the in-betweens. So let's move this in here. Let's see very quickly, are the people online enjoying this? This is helping me grow as an animator, highly considering joining the library when I've done my school course. Absolutely fantastic. Okay. Okay, people are all talking. Do you think I should do AMB first? I'm thinking of going to college. Well, just watch and make your mind up. Just make your mind up from what you see. I'm not going to try and convince you with any words. The best proof is how you feel inside when you watch my videos and you watch the quality unfolding before you. Right, so next we see the open mouth key. Now I'm not going to draw yours first, Sean, and then draw mine. I've given you some insight into what I'd be looking for from this drawing, and now I'm going to move on and talk about making him open his mouth with subtle squash and stretch, because he's breathing. We don't want him to go with a big open mouth and exaggeration. That's not what you've done, and I'm quite pleased that you didn't do that, Sean. You're being very subtle, because he's just breathing and sleeping to himself, so this is good. But we want to play with a little bit of squash and stretch here. Maybe push it just a little bit. Always push it and then take it down later. Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna make sure that I've got him grounded in the same kind of grounded feel. Notice I still want this little bulbous effect of him like this, coming up here like this, and I'm having this coming down like this. Notice how like I'm working that silhouette, Sean, thinking what do I want, okay? Now I might have this reverse curve just a little bit up here, just to maybe, that might be a bit of fun, just to reverse the curve of this back thing here like this. And we're going to have this come up here like this. Now we don't want it rising too much, so I'm going to think about the face mask coming up here like this. We still want him kind of sticking to the ground, okay? Now the squash and stretch will occur, okay, in his eyebrows, okay, in his eyebrows, and his eye line is going to change. So here his eye line is like this, okay? So now I'm going to want to either straighten it or just indicate. I really want to indicate a slight up on the eye line, Sean. I want to indicate a slight up. We're going to maybe I'm going to see, the reason I've got my light box on is I'm not really paying too much attention to it. But when you're doing subtle stuff like this, I'm not doing it for form and volume. I'm doing it because I want it to be subtle. So I want to just about see what's underneath, but you don't want to be focusing on what's underneath. I'm creating a map, okay? And then I'm going to kind of take that away. Now what I think will be nice is, okay, we've got his mouth kind of coming this way. So as he's breathing in the air, I might want to angle his mouth up to one side just a little bit. You've got some nice mouth shapes, but I might want to angle his mouth up to one side just a little bit as he's bringing it in. He's bringing it in and out. So I'm going to do something like this, okay? I'm going to do something like this. And then I'm going to kind of turn off my light box because it's beginning to affect my drawing. It's beginning to affect my drawing. So I've kind of got an idea of where everything needs to be. Now I'm going to focus purely on getting the life into this thing. Okay, so I'm going to focus more on the mouth shape first, because I feel that that's really going to drive the eyes. Okay, I'm going to focus on this mouth shape. I'm going to bring it up, and I'm going to bring it in over to the side like this. Okay, so his mouth is opening. Now I need to kind of have it. I'm going to have it coming. We want to have the 3D element of that mouth coming in here like this, and we want to feel the upper contouring section here like this. Okay, so notice how I'm dealing with the outside shape first. Okay, and now maybe we have a little bit of the side of the lip there like this. That's going to push the cheek out. It's going to push the cheek out this way. See, no, I'm really giving you this stuff, Sean. I want you. I can see that you're going to soak up this information, and hopefully magic things are going to happen to your work, the way it did for me when my mentor just sat with me and just showed me a few things, and man, things just really started to click for me. Okay, now some of you watching at home, hopefully that's happening to you too, but just understand that Sean is already at a certain level right now. Okay, so we don't get upset if it doesn't quite happen the same way. We are all at different stages in our journey. Okay, so now I'm going to think about how these cheeks are going to be working this up of these eyes. I want to really kind of get the eyes coming up here like this, and get these eyes coming up and around here like this. And now I'm going to change those eye lines like this. We don't want just to drag his eyes up. We don't want floating eyes on the face. I want to feel the air coming into him breathing in air, stretching higher, really playing the squash and stretch. See, to do this stuff well, this is another thing. If I don't care if I spend the whole tutorial on this sleep cycle. I'll do whatever I feel is necessary to get this across. Actually, look, to do something like this well, like everybody talks about animating fights and all this super advanced, well, seemingly advanced movements, but I'm telling you, like, I was planning to break down some Princess Mononoke for another live stream the other day, and seriously, they're just such big, broad movements that you can get away with murder in those things. So hopefully what this is showing you is just how involved it is to do something so subtle and perhaps not so interesting as a guy snoring, but how to do it well, just how much skill a Disney artist has. Just how much skill and how involved it is, and how hard it would be to get something like this approved back in the day on one of those classic animation feature films. Because I'm telling you, it was sometimes, people would be losing their sleep over things like this. People would be losing their sleep over silly little things like a blob snoring. I'd be getting the bus home, with nothing, or train home, 2-hour train ride home sometimes, with nothing but, anxiety of, I didn't get it approved. Why didn't it get approved? When I was starting out working on these kind of things. And that's the level that you had to be. I don't like to poo-poo on anybody. I don't like to talk ill of new studios and new young animators and things like that. But if I don't share this kind of information, they will never know, and they will never understand what I mean by real animator training, what I mean by the kind of skills and the kind of expectations that animators you used to have for an animator back in the day. Don't worry, Sean. I'm going to talk you through all of this stuff as I'm moving on. I think, so I'm drawing this out. I'm working it out, and then I'm going to explain to you what it is that I've done here. So here we see he's kind of what I think could benefit, because he's taking in a little air up here. Let's gain a little bit of mass in his head here like this. Right, now let's delete that. And let's have his mouth in here like this. Okay, so we can see he's inhaling now. He's inhaling in his sleep, and he's growing in his head size, and he's but his eyes are not rising up too high. We're just changing the eye line, and we're really and I might even put in a few stretch lines here. We're really kind of pushing the squash and stretch on those eyebrows. So if we come in here and look at what you got here like this, so we've got like he's down, we started down here like this, and then we come into this inhalation key here like this. Okay, so it might be nice, okay, and I'll show you the breakdown in how to get a really nice arc out of this. So as our guy is inhaling like this, what I'm going to talk you through is the squash and stretch of it all, because obviously we're going from a relaxed pose into a more stretched pose. Okay, now the first thing, Sean, that we need to understand that's happening is okay, as I make this outline silhouette, we need to look at what's happening. So we're still grounded on the floor there. Okay, now the as he's inhaling, obviously his his jaw is opening, and we're kind of retracting his mouth. Okay, so his upper lip is rising because his jaw has got nowhere to go. It's burying itself in the ground, and we're kind of retracting his mouth. Okay, and I'm kind of angling it up to one side. I'm favoring one side, and I'll tell you why I'm doing that, because I'm going to come up on thirds on my breakdown with a key. Okay, I'm going to put in a breakdown key and come up on thirds, and I'll tell you why I'll come up on thirds when we get to that stage. Now here we've got like his cheek. Okay, his cheek is kind of moving further out, and I'm going to kind of push this all the way around here like this to make this kind of one shape. Okay, and I'm going to add a little kind of buckle in his jaw on the side of his lip, just to give the squash and stretch of this retraction. So this kind of shape is going to be here like this. We could put that whole thing in there, but I'm going to just do something like this. Okay, and we're going to come here like this, and we're going to have some, so that mouth is kind of retracting, and we could really kind of put in another line there to, if we so wanted, to kind of really feel that kind of feel. Okay, we want to really feel that kind of snorting, even though he hasn't got a nose. We want to feel that effect. Okay, so now the eye line has changed. Okay, so but we want to feel that there's a force against his eye causing it to change. So I'm creating this shape on his eyelids like this, so we can see the eye line changing like that. And I want to feel, now I need to explain to you before we do these rubber rings around the eye, because even I have found them a little bit tricky to do nice. So I want to feel, as he's inhaling, I want you to feel the kind of pull as his eyebrows are rising up. Okay, we want to feel these eyebrows really pulling on those closed eyelids. Okay, so these eyebrows are coming up like this, right? And we want to really feel this pull. Okay, I'm even going to maybe draw it in there like this, and that's what we're going to feel on the eyelids. And I'm just going to, you see we got this cheek hair, I'm just going to kind of move that hair like this. Okay, just kind of, we might even lose the cheek actually, because I don't think it would be growing really there. Maybe it might, I don't know. Whatever feels right. For me it's feeling right. Sometimes, you know, sometimes you can get carried away with this stuff. For me it's feeling right to take it out. Okay, and then we're gonna have this thing here, and we're gonna bring the mask so this comes out like this. So can we see what's happening to his cheek? So we're really adding real pulling, squash and stretch going on in there like that. Now we're going to bring this, this is coming down. Okay, it's coming down, and as we're rising up, we're gaining some mass. But can you see how we're stretching him out? So the distribution of mass, now this subtle move down here like this, we're stretching him so the distribution of mass is happening. It's kind of evening it out, so he's not, doesn't feel like he's gaining in volume. Okay, and then I've just reversed the curve on these things up here like this. Okay, so we've got this. Okay, so depending how we go, Sean, I might just focus on just this one element. Okay, there are so many things to do and talk about in a scene like this, but I'm just going to give you the best information I can. And you know, this isn't a race. This isn't a race, so nobody's in a hurry to, you know, so even if it's just these few things that you pick up, I know that you're going to make really good use of them. Let's see if you're online. We've got Edge Deep, Patch Tunes, Akao the Warrior. Okay. Hey, Sean, you're online. Everybody say hello to Sean and thank him for this stream. I'm so pleased to have you online, Sean. It's such a pleasure to talk to you about this work. It's such a pleasure to give feedback to a fellow pro. I thank you. You because, you know, because of you, I feel that I'm giving something new to everybody here. I'm giving them a taste of what it's like to get feedback in the industry, from an industry, and all that kind of thing. So it's you know, awesome. So now we're going to be working on the next keyframe here, extreme frame. So we can see that you've got this vibration cycle. So I'm going to pick this one out because this one looks like your biggest one. This, see, I know this was probably your first extreme, but I'm going to go to the last one. Okay, so I'm going to go, so even though you haven't worked this drawing too much, I'm going to work this one because it's an extreme. Okay, so let's look at this and let's talk about that. So hopefully you could see the effect of the eyebrows getting, let me just heavy that, so these eyebrows are pulling the eyelids. This is real squash and stretch in the face stuff. Okay, real. So as I said, you know, now you're online, Sean, maybe you missed it. Hopefully I'm gonna take you from the cleanup artist mentality into the supervising animator mentality, where, you know, because not even animators, some animators wouldn't even know this stuff. It's gonna take your, because I know you can draw. I've seen your drawings on my on the wall of the group, but this is hopefully going to give you a new approach into thinking about not just the drawing, but you see, each one of these drawings is involving the fundamental laws of animation. Now what I'm going to do is, even though I've got that there, I'm going to add another key here. And you know, if this was a piece of paper, I would have taken my first drawing and put it on top, put it there as, no, I'd be flipping and rolling. I don't know why it did that. I don't know why it did that. Copy. I'd be flipping, unrolling between different pieces of paper, and I'd be able to flip between this and this. But on the software, I have to flip forward and backwards to check how my drawings relate, because these extremes have to relate to each one. I can't just use this one and this one. I've got to relate back to the first one to make it work. So I've kind of got them both here at the moment. And the light box is on, yes, but I'm really not going to pay much attention to it. It's just there to kind of help me understand. And I know Sean knows that, even though he's in cleanup, he knows that cleanup is vital for cleanup. Lightbox is vital for cleanup artists, but it is also the animator who doesn't really rely on it too much. So we're going to take that out a little bit. Now I'm going to look at this bottom line, and notice here, Sean, I'm immediately thinking of what kind of mouth shape I'm going to get. I'm not drawing the mouth shape. I'm immediately thinking about this kind of thing on the character. He's exhaling. He's exhaling like this. Now, the exhaling might be tempting to have all this kind of flop down, okay? Maybe we want it to flop down, but I'm going to kind of have it a little bit erect, okay? A little bit erect. Maybe not too much, and I'll tell you why. So normally you do the follow through and overlap just a little bit later on, but I'm going to kind of suggest without the timing, because I feel, I've animated long enough to kind of know what I want from the follow through and overlap. So it'll kind of work. We can tweak it later. So I'm just thinking about this extreme here of what I want from the mouth. So if that's coming down here, then that's gonna maybe we can have that come up and in. Yeah, maybe not too high up. We don't want to make too much out of this back shape. This is another thing, balancing the shapes. We're thinking subtle. So now I'm really wanting to think exhale, exhale, exhale. Okay. So that's kind of like my outer shape kind of thought out. Now I want to think about the eye line. Okay, so the eye line, the main eye line is back here. So I want to kind of have this face eye line kind of dragged. We're going to not have it as low. So it's going to kind of circular like this, okay? It's going to circle. So, but we want to droop them, okay? We want to droop it with this mouth shape. Okay, like this. So you see, these are the things I'm thinking about before I'm even drawing the character's face. Okay. Now, here's the thing. I'm not going to have his eyebrows come all the way down. I'm going to delay these eyebrows. Okay. So I'm going to kind of want to delay the eyebrows and save them up there. Okay. So I'm going to kind of think about something like this. Okay. And we're going to put it all together. Okay. So I'm going to think about maybe opening those eyebrows out. Look, Sean, look what I'm doing with that face mask, okay? I'm playing with that face mask, okay? Now we need to think about these cheeks, okay? The cheek is going to be blowing, okay? So we don't want that cheek to be going wild, okay? But you see everything I'm working out with this drawing, okay? Like this. Maybe we want that cheek silhouetted in there. So you see I start, oh dear, what does that look like? We don't want to, I don't want, anybody who thinks that looks like what I think like has got as dirty an imagination as me. Right. Okay, right, never mind. Right. So he's breathing out, okay, and we're going to come back to this frame. So these are just the keys and extremes, okay? The extremes on their own. So we need to put some keys to soften it. Okay. So now this is the kind of thing I'm getting in here. So let's start drawing and toning and seeing what we can get from this. Right. So again, I'm going to now start with the cheek. Okay. And I'm going to use this first key because I used the other key while roughing, but now I'm going to use this first key to kind of make me, I shouldn't really be tying this down so much, but but I want to tie it down a little bit so Sean can. It's this more about getting more out of his keys. So Sean knows as well as I do, you don't animate the way I'm animating like this, okay? Especially if you're a beginner. If you're a pro, and if I was working on a TV series or a low budget special or feature where the rate wasn't so high, I know I've got the ability to just do extremes like this, and it'll work, and I'll be able to make good money out of just doing it like this. But most people, beginners, you don't animate like this because you need to know that what you're doing works, okay? You need to know that what you're doing works, okay? If somebody is, I don't know if you heard my email on there, so whoever's applying to join the library, if you join while I am giving this tutorial, please bear in mind I will not be able to process your membership whilst I am live. So when I come offline, just hold on. Okay, right, so we've got the mouth kind of breathing out. You can see how I'm kind of using between these two keys, but more importantly, Sean, I want you to see the cheeks and the lips. Let's talk about this lip. I'm wanting to kind of like, we want the O shape, but I'm wanting to feel the pressure of this ground element. So I'm really going to try and push this shape. I'm going to carve, okay? I'm going to carve to try and push this shape. Really going to carve to try and push there. There we go. So I'm going to carve that, and I'm going to carve this upper lip, okay? Like this. Okay, and then I'm going to make another drawing of this lip. So the thing is you just want to I want to make shapes that I'm kind of liking the feel of. But here's the thing. You need to stop getting too fiddly with the drawing, okay? Because it's all going to be done again when I want to refine it just a little bit more, okay? So now this is going to be coming up, okay? Now I want to focus on this frame as well, okay? Because we want this midsection to be up here like this, okay? Does it relate? Does it relate? So you can see the first frame is more squashed than this frame, although this is my squashing kind of exhale frame, because the first frame is super relaxed, okay? There's still kind of some layering going on, so you can see there's still some layering going on in his brow mask up here like this. Now I want those eyebrows to kind of drop down a little bit, okay? So they're dropping down, and we're going to have these eyebrows kind of drop down a little bit like this. Okay. There's so much more about this scene I could tell you, Sean, but I think I don't want to give you too much to think about, because there's this information alone that I'm giving you is already like so much for you to take in. So I think rather than breaking down the whole scene, as was my original intention, I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to talk about this little section here, because we've got some other keys to do to make all this stuff, to tone all this action down, these heavy extremes down. And we need to understand where we're going to use our thirds, okay? Because I'm very much wanting to use thirds in this. I got a message from a library member who's so excited about what he's learning in the basics that he sent me a message and said, how do you know when to use thirds and when to use halves? And it's so cool to now have all these different people around the world knowing exactly what thirds and halves are, and I can just talk in those terms. It's just so awesome. I'll explain what I'm doing to the eye here in a minute, Sean. But I said to him, look, it's just amazing. Your enthusiasm is, really telling me that you're excited. But just like you've got the knowledge now, but you've got to let it sink in, and that's what training is. You see, we know that if we lift a weight, if we lift some weights, okay, that our muscles will get big. We know that. We understand that. So you understand what thirds and halves are. But the muscles ain't going to get big until you proceed with the repetitive, and I must stress the word repetitive action of doing it, because that's how the growth occurs. The repetition, the repetitive process of doing it causes the growth, and the repetitive process of doing these fundamentals and working these things is what's going to cause the growth. Okay, if you're repeatedly doing the right things, you're going to grow. But if you're just focusing, you just do it once or twice and you think, oh, I should know it by now, I need to know something else, it ain't going to happen. So Sean has spent a long time repeatedly assisting animators, cleaning their work up, in betweening their work, breaking their work down. Now he can do that in his sleep. So now I'm giving him some things on what to focus on that'll really help him start to bring life, an element of life to his work. Okay, so now I'm looking at this and I'm going to make a few subtle changes, and then I'm going to explain to you what I've done, Sean. You should be able to see what I've done as well, but I'm going to explain to you. Now I'm going to see what I want to do, what I want to kind of do with this. Okay, I'm going to add some lines here. I'm going to add some lines that are going to help the drawing. Okay, I'm going to add some, and then I'm going to start drawing on top. So the main thing that I want you to get from this is the delayed eyebrow, because they're going to sink right back down like that. You see the effect? You see, we really feel the facial features with the squash and stretch going on here. Okay, and the eyes, we want to keep those eyes, we want those eyes to feel relaxed. So we want this to kind of, you want to feel that. Notice how I'm pushing certain silhouette elements here. Okay, notice how I'm pushing certain silhouette elements. Okay, and we're coming, I just need to know what we're doing here. So this is gonna, what's the arc of this forward? Okay, so I'm gonna rub this down a little bit. Now I'm gonna look at my light box to make sure that this kind of sticks. I don't want to spend too much time locking this down because this is rough. I should be left in rough animation, but I want it to kind of stick. Okay, because these frames need to be important. Okay, right, so hopefully we can see how that's going to come back to that. Okay, now we can really feel those facial features. Now let's draw this in and explain what we've done and tidy some of this face up, so that you can see what I'm doing here, Sean, and then I'm going to break it down. Right, so the first thing I want to pay attention to, because I feel pretty comfortable with the rest of it, is I'm still not, I want to kind of get these eyes to the point where I think, yes, the eyes are happening. Okay, so I'm going to kind of change this eye line here like this. Now they're all on the down eye line, but I want to feel the kind of pull on this thing here. That's what we were looking for. So the eye line is changing and the cheek is kind of pressing the eye line up. Okay, now before I go on to do the eye rings, I'm going to do these brows. Okay, I'm going to do these brows, and I'm going to look and see, I'm going to look at this and have this little element of this brow kicking in here, maybe put a little line here, maybe bring that one in there like that. Okay, yeah, that's nice. We can feel the brow work in there. Maybe a little too much. Let's take that back a bit. I'm not holding back here, Sean. I'm giving you the complete, every little hidden nook and cranny, of what I'm doing. I'm trying to bring to surface so you can see exactly what I'm doing. Okay, right. So you see, back in the days when I had my mentor, they would not explain all the little hidden nooks and crannies. They would just say, more like this, do it more like this, his eye needs to be here, his mouth. My eye would be looking at, oh, I just saw what he did with his cheek there. I just saw, like, my mentor was once telling me about John Pomeroy would draw a hand and he would do this and he would do this, but then I noticed as he did this, Okay, he started carving in, and he didn't explain that to me. He didn't explain that. I was just watching him when he was drawing, and then suddenly my brain was like, but like I'm trying to explain everything, Sean. So I'm trying to share it all. Okay, I'm trying to do one better. Okay, so now I'm gonna think about this going up here like that. Okay, and then this cheek coming round. So you see, I'm really giving contours to this these rubber eye rings. Okay, around his eyes, giving it contours. Okay, and we're gonna come like this. I'm gonna check that with that. Yeah. So this has been a pretty decent week for AMB animation in a sense, for especially for the YouTube people, because you've been able to watch me commission Aaron AOX to do cleanup, okay, and give him a cleanup job, and now you're watching me review an animator scene, a professional animator scene, okay, and give him professional grade feedback, okay. So how's that? That's pretty decent. Hopefully you're getting good insight from this, okay. So now I'm working on this shape. Remember, Sean, I really work this shape, and I'm going to kind of break the shape just a little bit to give some more dimension and texture to this thing coming out here like this, okay. We're going to bring the lip in here, and I'm going to kind of bring that in here and kind of really work that forward momentum of that lip, okay. Really give it that forward momentum in there like that. There we go. Right, so we feel that happening. And then I'm going to work the cheek, bring the cheek out there. So we really see some silhouette differences between these drawings as we really kind of exaggerate. This is why we call these extreme frames, okay? This is exactly why we call these extreme frames, okay? Now I'm just going to put this here. This could be, I'm starting to rush this a little bit. This could be a little nicer in the shape, but I think we can live with that, okay? I can see a character like maybe Flounder from The Little Mermaid in this, but I don't know. So this is just coming around here. The hardest thing in the world to draw without rotating. Now I've gone and got finicky. I don't need to make this nice, but you see, there we go. Right, there we are. So now I'm going to bring this up in the back for the silhouette like this, and this is coming down here, okay. Now Sean, look how this line hides into this line like this, okay, and in the illusion of dimension in there like that. Okay, what we want to check is the width of those eyes. So I'm going to bring that in just a little bit because it's going behind there. We don't want his eyes getting further and further apart. It'll ruin the illusion. That's something we want to, be super careful of. Let's just have these lines here to kind of help that. Now let's bring this over on this side like this, and this one out and in like this. I don't know what those things are, and I've kind of rushed them, but I want to keep them kind of big there like this, okay. Hopefully the principle of these things, I'm not going to work too hard on getting volumes and things right. I just want you to understand what's happening. Right, so there's the kind of stretching pose. I'm just going to heighten his silhouette out just to, bring out certain elements of this, okay. So there's the kind of more stretching pose there like that. So I'm going to give him a cheek there like that. It just makes it a nicer drawing, okay. Gives it a nicer drawing like this. Bring that around there like that. Yes. Okay. So we've got something like this. So his mouth, notice how the inhale we have more of an angle on this, and then on the exhale we have more of a slant upwards the other way, like that. Okay, so this is involving all of those kind of rules in there. So hopefully you can see, even from these extremes, where we're going with this. Okay, so if we bring this back, so now you can see how your face is just kind of floating on top of this, Sean. So now, so here we have this like this. So now I'm going to show you how to make more interesting arcs, okay? Animator arcs, okay? Because at the moment your arcs are they work, they're nice, and you did a few things in there which were good, like adding the vibration, and you can still add the vibration, but I'm going to show you how I'm going to break this down. I'm just going to heavy this mouth in just a little bit because it needs to read. Okay, let's put in a little bit of shadow there, like that. Yeah, because now what I want you to focus on now is the breakdowns. Before we do that, we'll just see what's going on in the chat. Oh, Life Fantasy, you're gonna love this. You're gonna love this. Good to see that. So let's see. So Jung nice to see you online. Mr. Leon, thank you for explaining everything. Sweet deal. Thank you, AMB. Awesome. You're still there, Sean. Good to see you online. Double A Animations, we know who that is. An extremely talented up-and-comer. There was that film Over the Top where they said, Lincoln Hawk the newcomer. Some of you are too young to know what that is, but whenever I think of Double A Animations, I think of that in my head. But here we go. So the chat is all good stuff. MTCKD, very inspiring thoughts on every video, man. Thank you. Dwayne Stafford Gale, good to see you. Hey, Deruji, Eric. Just saying a few hellos. A few impatient people in the chat in my watching number running away. That's their loss. Hey, that's okay, my friend. Most underrated animation resource on the internet. You know what? Any kind of rating I'm grateful for. And in a way, I'm kind of happy. I'm kind of happy that, you know, because not everybody wants to do it this way. And that's okay. So let's focus on the people who do. Right, so let's now talk about breaking this stuff down and thirds. Why I talk about thirds, okay? So now I'm going to talk about getting between here and here. I'm going to put another key here, Sean. So if you can see, okay, if we go back to your first key, you can see the guys inhaling. Now you've got this nice kind of like vibrational effect. Now I did mention I'm not going to talk about that. That's an easy thing to do, as you know, and I made a video of that in the library which you can access anytime. But what I'm going to talk to you more about is a more interesting arc. So you can still do that, but we're going to get a more interesting arc. So why we want thirds is as I want to slow into this pose, Sean. I want to slow into this third pose. So if I think in terms of halves, okay, I'm not gonna, I can still say, yeah, I can slow in and slow in, but then the half mentality is the linear mentality. Okay, and there's nothing wrong with that. I and many other great animators always like to keep it simple and work on halves. So yes, halves is good. I'm not saying halves is bad. But why I'm doing thirds, why I'm opting for thirds here and in my head, okay, I'm not going to chart this on thirds. You got to understand that. Once you learn all this, you start doing this in your head, okay? So why I'm thinking 2/3 in my head, I might chart it on halves. Get your head around that. Sean is very experienced with the chart, so I don't need to explain the chart to him. But I'm charting in my head, Sean. When I chart it for an assistant, I might chart it all on halves to make it easy. But the spacing here, in my head between here and here, is going to be 2/3 down because I really want to slow into this. I mean, that was a really bad 2/3. Okay, it's going to be this one is going to be where, you know, we've got key, extreme, and I'm going to put key 2/3 of the way down because I really want to push the arc and push into this. So what do I mean by that? Okay, let me show you. Right. So what I want to do is notice how we've got the mouth like this. Okay, well, wouldn't it be nice if we had a nice little mouth roll on there? So we kind of open that mouth up and it was the other way first, okay? Now you see how my light box is kind of affecting that? So I'm going to kind of have everything kind of high up I need it on just a little bit because I want the mouth to be, I want to favor that key by 2/3, okay? So can you see, like, okay, and then we can add the little vibration on the slow end between hair and hair. Do you get it? So we can just go, and then we can add the little vibration between hair and hair. So you with me, Sean? You see how we get much nicer arcing out of that, okay? Right? So, okay. As I said, you know, I'm giving a good insight here, but don't, you know, Sean is a professional who's cleaned up at Disney, okay? I'm talking to him at his level, okay? So that's not me belittling my audience. My audience, majority of my audience are all people who I love, and it's exactly what the Real Animator training is about, okay? It's about, I'm here to help the beginners, you know, but Real Animator training, as you can see, is not just for beginners. We're getting pros. There's another pro in the audience, Mr. Leon, I believe I saw him there. How are you, sir? So I've got to kind of mix it up a bit and give feedback to people of all the levels in there. So, you know, don't give yourself, I don't like the word unrealistic. Don't give yourself impractical, non-practical expectations at the moment, okay? So now everything else here, I'm going to kind of think about, you know, okay, now get your head around this. I'm now thinking about, the mouth was on 2/3, Sean, but I'm thinking about everything else being on a half, okay? So everything else in the face, Sean, I'm thinking of putting on half, okay? Which is what you can see me doing with these eyebrows here, okay? Everything else I'm thinking of putting on a half. So that mouth is on 2/3, but the rest of the face I'm thinking of putting on a half, okay? It depends, because I put the half line there. Where do these eyebrows sit? Nope. You see, as I'm looking at it, those eyebrows are sitting 2/3 of the way, okay? I put the mask line is actually 2/3 of the way, okay? The eye is on a half, because the eyebrows are pulling. You see how it's difficult sometimes to explain the stuff? You see, the more advanced we get, okay, how it's difficult. So if we can see what's going on here, because the eyebrows are pulling and getting further away from the eyes, okay, I'm putting the eyebrows and the mouth on thirds, with 2/3 of the way down, but the eyes are on half, okay? That's what I'm thinking in terms of this key here, like this, okay? And this is going to come up like this, okay? And this shape is going to, let's rub that away and see what we're doing. So this shape is going to be here like this. I'm going to turn off that light box like that, okay? Now I'm going to think about those eye rings, okay? We're going to think about bringing these eye rings. So I'm thinking rough half. And of course, I'm fiddling with the light box and looking a little bit at the volume, because I've drawn it in a certain way. I want it to read for the audience. I want, you know, if this was just me and Sean in a room, I would not be drawing it so nicely, okay? But I think it makes a nice live stream, okay? So I would, as I said, this is professional feedback, but being dragged out to give you a demonstration as well. Okay, so this is all going to be on half. Everything else, the body is all going to be on half. Now this kind of reverse, I'm reversing that, aren't I? I'm reversing that. So I think I'll favor the reverse as I'm lifting this up. I'll favor the reverse and put all this on half. Okay, yes. So now what's going on with the cheek? We can maybe just keep that. Okay. So hopefully what you can see there in the mouth, we can see how we're kind of opening that and favoring. Now I'm going to refine this mouth shape, because as always, you know, as we're working things out, our shapes are getting lost, okay? The more we draw and fiddle, we think we're improving. But you got to realize that that's what roughing is, okay? Once the roughing is done, we need to focus on shape refinement. Shape refinement, okay? Shape refinement. And that's exactly what I'm going to do now, okay? So let's get in there and do some shape refinement. Okay, first and foremost, I need to look at the spacing in all these, just these little things here, because I want to get that right. As I said, you shouldn't be working that clean, but as we've done it like this, we're doing it like this, right? So that's like that. Okay, now I want to improve this mouth shape, so I want to kind of focus on this side, and let's bring this out there like that. Yeah. Notice, Sean, how I'm bringing it all in the silhouette. Okay, and then we've got this thing pushing the cheek out there like this, and I'm gonna favor this side just a bit more. You see, we're gonna favor that side. I'm gonna bring that up. Now I'm gonna look at the other lip so I don't lose the illusion of that lip being lifted. Okay, make the noise when you're animating. Okay, because that sounds like you're being a little bit mental, but you got to get into the character. Okay, you have to. Okay, the more life you want in your animation, the more you got to live it. Okay, so see how this is curling this way. So I'm really starting to have fun with these shapes. I would then, making a shape like this, I would then go back and work the other lips as I'm getting more confident and comfortable with these lip shapes. Well, let's just leave it for now. Okay, I think I'm giving enough information. Okay, so let's just have this like this. Hopefully the main takeaway for you, for the people that aren't Sean, okay, is, hopefully this has kind of humbled some of you a little bit, that think round, cute blobs are simple things to animate. Okay, there's, they can be, but then they're not, doesn't mean that they're simple things to animate well. Okay, you've got less things to hide your lack of knowledge behind. Okay, you've got less things to hide your lack of knowledge behind. That's why I love bouncing balls and swinging pendulums, because it just gets straight to the gut, straight to the chase. What do you know? Show me what you know. It's like the old martial arts thing of a guy wanting to learn from a Shaolin master, and he comes to the Shaolin master and he says, I've mastered 5 different styles. I've come to you because you're the main master, and I want to learn your techniques so that I can go even further. And the Shaolin master would say, show me your punch. I'm going to teach you how to punch. He would say, I know how to punch. I know how to punch. It's just a punch. So then the Shaolin master goes and asks him to go and punch one of his students. And he punches one of the students, and the student goes back a little bit, sort of shakes it off. Then the Shaolin master punches the student, and the student goes flying. Okay? And he says, I'm going to teach you how to punch. Now shut up. And that's basically what it is. It's like, the thing is, if you keep doubting the importance of simplicity, then you're only advertising arrogance and ignorance. Okay? Because it is that simplicity which is going to carry you forward and make everything else you do that rests upon it so much better, so much stronger. And this is why, real animator training is all about fundamentals, training in fundamentals, so that this stuff makes sense. So here we can see the spacing thing. I'm just kind of going over what I've got. The only thing that I've changed a little bit is the mouth shape, Sean. So that means that this is going to have to change a little bit. Okay, coming around here, we want to kind of have that drag and pull on there. What's the spacing on that there? So spacing on that. Spacing on that is huge. Okay, so we're kind of, it's just a huge difference. You can't really talk about that. It's just like a, you know, massive change in there. So it's with a 2/3 mentality, but obviously if you're talking about this side of the mouth, okay, that's a huge difference. But you can see I've opened the mouth a lot more rather than having it half open. And that's why what I mean by a kind of 2/3 mentality, Sean. Okay, that's what I kind of mean. So now let's, I don't want the light box on. Let's just look at the eye here like this. Yeah, we're kind of keeping the eye line on half. Kind of keeping this eye line here like this. Never just think I'm in betweening slits or lines for closed eyes. It's not good enough. Okay, we want to really feel, especially when we're doing keys. Okay, this is a key, but you notice how this key is like a breakdown, because the other poses are extremes. Many people always say, some people say keys and extremes are the same thing. Now, that doesn't mean they're bad animators, but I think that it's kind of better to understand the difference. Okay, it's better to understand the difference, because then you think less about in-betweening and you think more about timing. Okay, when you're working with extremes than keys, because I'm immediately thinking timing here about this character's snoring, and I'm thinking arcs. So again, I'm going right back. I'm just going to rush this thing here. Okay, I'm going right back to hardcore fundamentals. Okay, hardcore fundamentals here. So let's come here like that. Okay, so that's on the reverse curve. So we've got this. So now if we look at this, okay, we've got him kind of breathing in. Now can you see like the inhaling, how that kind of, we see that effect? And these are just keys. Okay, this is just keys. Now again, we want to do this. We want to work on this one. We want to put a breakdown key on this one, and then we want to put yeah, that would be a linear half, I think. And then we want to put a breakdown key on this one to kind of bring it back in. But hopefully you're starting to see this coming together, Sean. So let's go ahead and put a breakdown key in between here. Now I'm going to speed up. Okay. So here I'm thinking purely on a half, but now just because I'm thinking on a half of the mouth shape, okay, it doesn't mean I'm going to make the mouth half open and half closed. Okay, this is animation. We're thinking arc of the mouth as well. So we don't just want a boring kind of like linear arc where the mouth is here, and then the mouth's super small. So we've like got this kind of thing happening. We want to think about keeping his mouth open, more hair out like this, and kind of going into this shape here like this. Okay, so we really want to, okay, I'm just going to test that mouth there like that. Okay, so I'm going to think about this more so coming here like this. Then I'm going to think about the lips, okay, the lip shape. So we're going to look at the bottom of the lip. So I'm going to examine what I'm going to be doing with that kind of arc there like this. Then I'm going to be looking on here. I'm going to be understanding the bottom of the shape is kind of swimming through here like this. The cheek is going to be around. This is all going to, the head is going to be kind of, I'm just going to half the head. Okay, so the head is going to just be halved like that. Now this thing, I'm going to see if I can do something interesting with the tail. Okay, no, it's just, shall we arc it up like this? Shall we arc it up like this? No, that's you see, the animator in you wants to play, or the animator in me wants to play, but let's keep it linear. Okay, let's keep it linear. But you see how easy it is to quickly try those things, right? Now this guy is gonna come out into this. So we want to have the middle line coming here like this. The eye line will be here like this. The eye line will be here like this. Choo, choo. And everything on here is kind of just halving it, Sean, with the exception of that interesting mouth shape. Everything here is just more or less halving. We can see that. We're going to work the nice mouth shape. Okay, so I'm just going to rough it. Okay, I'm going to rough it, and then we're using this key, and then I'm going to consolidate it using this one. Okay, and I'm just going to have the tongue kind of in there like that. Okay, the eyebrow is just going to sit on top. The eyebrow is going to sit on top there like that. These coming in here. Right, now here I'm going to kind of keep these. I'm going to stretch this, and I'm going to open these out. Okay, I'm going to keep these kind of opened out like this, so they kind of step down. Can you see they step down on them like this? So let's have a little test of that. Okay, yeah, so we can see that happening there like that, coming in around there like this. Then we want to settle in. Then I'm going to put, once I've done that, I'm going to put in the 2 really rough breakdowns, and then you're going to see how the timing will play out on this. Okay, because these are still, we're just keying at the moment, right? So let us very quickly gray this fellow in. There's not much to talk about here, so let's just get this mouth shape looking good. First I'm going to just go here, and I'm gonna focus on this, because this is where we can lose the illusion. Okay, right, remember there was an album called Lose Your Illusion or something like that. I can't remember if anybody can remember who made that album. Right, so this goes in like this or something like that, and then we have the bottom lip. So notice how I'm really focusing on those shapes. Okay, and thinking about how they tie up and relate to the other extreme there like this. Okay, and then again, Sean, as you're gonna break down between hair and hair, okay, what you want to do is you want to think about, you can do your nice staggering effect that you had in the actual animation. Okay, this is going to come around like this. This is going to come through. We're just going to build these cheeks up. I'm not too fussed about how all this dot bit animates, because that's the easy stuff that you don't really need any explanation on. So let's just speed through this. Okay, just all halves. Okay, just halves. We know that. Okay, this is just halves. Right, so let's get the eye shape. I'm gonna look at this eye shape more so, because that's what I'm wanting to favor. Okay, Sean will know what favor means. Favor means we're just thinking more about the pose, one pose we're favoring in our referencing more so than the other one. Okay, let's just keep that eye direction and there like this. Yeah, there we go. Let's have that there. Now let's turn this on so we can see clearly. Okay, we've seen. Right, notice how that light box is immediately turned off when I found the line I want. It doesn't help with consistency, and it hinders. Okay, it really does. It really does. Right, now I'm not going to spend too much attention. I'm going to favor these I'm gonna have this come up. I'm gonna just have this kind of unfolding on itself. I'll let you draw that in nicely, or if at all you do bother revisiting this, Sean. I know you've colored it and done it, but this is all food for thought. Okay, food for thought the next time you go about doing something like this. Okay, let's just delete that out and keep that in. Okay, so there we go. We can see how the snoring action is kind of working at the moment. We can see something like that. So we just have got now just to do the breakdown key between hair and hair, a keyframe between hair and hair, so you can see the snoring cycle, how the face is really getting the effect of the squash and stretch and the arcing in the mouth action. So let's now break down that. Let's put that in here, and let me just put my phone on silent, because I believe it will be morning time in New Zealand when my wife is at the moment, and she may well call me when I'm online. Right, so let's think about the breakdown key that we have. Just see if Sean is in the chat. Is Sean saying anything in the chat? No, I believe he's just watching. He's just watching. I think it was Guns N' Roses. Use your. That was it. Guns N' Roses. Yeah, that was it. Yeah, right. So let's look at what. So the eyes are gonna come back. Now I'm thinking about bringing the arc of the eye down like this. You see, I'm not going to just put a straight, which is what you are doing in some of your animation, Sean. You're not putting nice circular arcs on the face, which is good. Okay, that's good. Now we're going to bring this equally, then we'll have to follow suit, but the spacing will be on a half. Okay. So everything, we don't want to be too crazy with this because we're going back. We're going back to the loop. Okay, this is where we're going back to the original loop. So everything is kind of just gonna come out. Hair is where we're gonna change it. Okay, hair I'm not necessarily gonna. So I'm thinking about this shape before we bring it into this. Okay, and I put this kind of cheek in the foreground there. So I maybe want to change that first key, but let's in between. Let's do it. Let's add some layering on there. Maybe my first choice is kind of all right. Now I might want to close the mouth completely. Now see, I want this mouth to circle round this way. So I'm not just going to bring it, slide it back as if it's flat. I'm going to try and play with kind of like the mouth to close and circle this way and see what we get. It's a little bit too much, so we can, I want to bring it in. Okay. But then, you know, it's the right idea. Okay. So I'm going to think about this shape here. Yeah, that's the right idea. We want to bring that around there. So then we want to kind of, again, although I'm putting it on a half, I'm kind of favoring this thing here because I want to have that effect. And then the cheek is coming around here like this. Let's think about that. Okay. Now I'm going to kind of think about having the mouth closed. Okay. Notice I'm not caring too much about the shape. I know I can draw lips. I'm caring more about the effect. And then I'll kind of pull it in and get the volume and all that as I see fit. Now let's just look at this. Okay. Let's look at this. Let's look at this. Okay, let's bring this in. Okay, we want to bring this in fairly quickly because we don't want to slow in too much. Slowing in too much is going to, you know, heighten the volume differences, okay? Which is not what we want to do, okay? This is how to change shape effectively. You know cutout people. You animate now in cutout, Sean. So you know how you click from one pose to the next to cheat it. Well, we are going to slow in. We're not going to be that crude, but we're not going to slow in too heavily from hair to hair, because it will just doing so will cause too much morphing and warping on the character's face, ruining all the beautiful illusion of rubbery elasticity and squash and stretch. So there's an art to slowing in and slowing out, how to do it, when to do it, and how best to use it. Okay, now you see how I start rubbing that out to get that nice shape in there. I'm kind of liking that. That's a nice solid drawing we've created, strong solid drawing we've created. From that we can see the arcing looking nice, and I'll just, when I put this in, yeah, not bad at all. So this is circling around there like that. And now once I've done this, I'm going to put in a few very quick shorthand. Sean, you should know what shorthand is. Don Bluth called it shorthand. I forgot what some other people, I think in Canada, which is where I think you're from, I knew a Canadian animator called Sharon, who worked with me when I was at Universal on Despro. She would call them partials. So I guess it just, wherever you're from, and you're going to see what they are anyway, even if you don't know. Okay, but I'd be very surprised if a cleanup artist of your caliber and your experience wouldn't know what partials is, so, or shorthand. So maybe you have your own name for it, and you can enlighten me when I am in the chat when I get through all this. Okay, so notice how I'm still kind of keeping those eyebrows up, because I really want to create the effect and the illusion of this character snoring and at rest. This coming around there. Well, how are we doing for time? I'll look how we're doing for time. I kind of like this shape I've got on these lips. They're kind of nice shapes. Coming around here like this. It's actually, this is what I love about what I'm doing with Real Animator training. It's just really sharing information, to those who really want it and those who really love it, So even though Sean has left his hand-drawn days behind him and he still works in the industry on cutout, I believe, if memory serves me correctly, he can always enlighten us all and correct me if I'm wrong. He loves hand-drawn animation. That's probably why he entered animation, and he made it to the biggest studio there is, which is absolutely awesome. But then so he wants to do well in hand-drawn animation for himself, and that's what I call, that's, people ask me what's a real animator. That's what I classify as a real animator. Somebody who wants to do really well in animation, not for a job, not for the industry. He's got all that. He wants to do well for himself. He wants to feel like the real deal, and he is the real deal already, but he wants to feel it inside in his own work, and it gives me such a buzz to be able to help people like that. Those are exactly the kind of people that I created my system and my library for, and it's just such a pleasure. Sean, thank you. This has inspired me as well. Your test inspired me as well to do this. Right. So I'm going to go and throw in some breakdowns after this, but hopefully now we can see what we've done. We've kind of circled that arc there. You can now see how my first key, even though I spent a bit of time on it, you can now see how the shapes are a little bit weaker. So I might want to go back, but I'm not going to, and strengthen those shapes. You see, even though I don't know this character and I've just made this up and I've been helping Sean, but how much clearer can I be, folks, about repetition? That's what an animator is. An animator's friend. It's everybody's friend. You can see I spent some time working this out on telling Sean how to strengthen this character. But as you can see, as I've been going on through the whole thing, I've been getting more and more familiar with the shapes repeatedly. And now the first shape is going to need strengthening again. Can you see? What better advocate for repetition than that? Okay? Doesn't matter how experienced you are. Doesn't matter where you've been, or what you've done. We all need to repeatedly do things to get better. So here we have the basic keys and breakdowns of the snore cycle. Now we can put the vibrations in there, but I'm not going to, Sean, because that's, as you know, is a kind of doping thing, or I think, what would the Americans call it? We call it dope sheets, so we call it doping. Slugging, in the exposure sheet to get that effect. You'd in between all smoothly and then randomize the numbering of the drawings. But we're not going to do that. I'm going to now just put a few breakdowns just to give you an idea of the timing of where I want to break down and slow in even more. Okay, and what we want to do. Okay, so I'm going to do exactly that. Okay, with some really quick, what I call shorthands. Okay, so I'm going to put in a breakdown. Okay, I'm going to put in a breakdown between here and here. Okay, so let's do that. And I'm just going to do it in what I was talking about, shorthands or partials. So I'm just going to come in here and I'm just going to give the outline kind of shape on a kind of half. And Sean will know what this is 100%, because I bet animators who are just, when you're assisting and cleaning up and you're in betweening, they leave it there and they suggest the spacing. They suggest the spacing. Even if they draw a chart, they suggest sometimes the spacing, and they have these kind of things here like this, right? So I'm just going to come up here very quickly, super quickly with the light box, and just put in some partials of where this breakdown is going to be. So we're going to really heavy slow in on this top key here like this. Okay, so we're going to have this. Okay, so that's enough. That's all we need. Okay, so if I scrub that, you'll get a feel for that. See, already we can feel the timing is already, we can feel the slow in. Okay, so now I'm going to put in, okay, I want to put in 2 breakdowns. Okay, I'm going to put in, you could leave it to the assistant, but I would never do that. I would time it, chart it, and then I would put in a partial, because as I said, it's not the assistant's job to interpret stuff that I haven't explained to him. Okay, maybe he might want to, and he might feel, some people don't like it. They think, oh, he's holding my hand all the way through it. Well, you got to earn your trust in the animator. Okay, so show, obviously none of you are trying to be my assistant here, but I've gone into old mode. So show me what you can do first, and then I will start letting you try. Okay, so that's what I would always say to the assistant who didn't like me holding their hands, but most of them liked it because it meant they got paid faster. Okay, so I would have this thing, okay, on a half out of this. So this is just coming on a half out of this, here like that. Okay, and again this we would have just on a half. So you see the breakdowns are just kind of like where I want the slow ins and slow outs to be. I've kind of put in my extremes, I've put in my keys, which have determined my arcs. Okay, sometimes a breakdown can also determine an arc. Okay, but I think those kind of animators would call keys extremes that would do that. Okay, but you can, the breakdowns, which is why they are called breakdowns, are not just straight up in betweens, but either. So it's not that straightforward. Okay, because sometimes, depending on the complexity of the arc, your key will not fully break down that arc. Okay, right, so we're gonna slow out of that there like this. This has been super fun, Sean. I loved it. Thank you. Right, so we've slowed out of this guy here like this. Okay, so can we really feel the timing in that? Even though we haven't in between, we can really feel Okay, one thing I want to feel the so I want to break just for the sake for you to feel the I'm going to add this in there. Okay, we want to feel that in the partial. Okay, right. So the illusion of life. Similarly, coming out, we're going to have to, we're not just going to draw any line, okay? We're going to think about how that is affecting the folds of the skin. Okay, that's the most important thing. You see, if you don't understand, some assistants might just do that, and we don't want that. We want it to be a little bit more thinking about the folds of the face, okay? So it gives them more elasticity, okay? So now I'm going to add another, because we want to add the vibration, Sean, okay? So say you want to add that vibration, okay? So the vibration would be between hair, between this breakdown and this key, or between hair to hair to hair, okay? And then you're gonna have to no vibration between hair and hair, and then no vibration hair, but then I'm gonna put another breakdown where we're gonna vibrate between hair and hair, okay? But then of course I'm not gonna explain how to do the vibration. As I said, there's an entire video on that in the advanced archive of the Real Animator Training Library. Right. So again, this is just super quick partial stuff here. So just halves, okay? Halves, half breakdown. We've done all the hard work. Okay, we're gonna add the vibration on there like that. Okay, we want to watch our, doesn't matter if I draw that wrong because the mouth is going to vibrate, okay, like that. Okay, and then we'll get a much stronger vibration than what you had, which was very subtle. We'll get, we can still keep it subtle, but we'll get a, how can I put it, we'll get maybe a nicer vibration. So this thing will come out like this, and to hair like this, hair like that. So there's a lot to take in, Sean. You might want to watch this video a number of times. It's not going anywhere. It's staying on my YouTube channel, okay? It's not going anywhere. It's staying on my YouTube channel. This is not a training library course or anything like that. This is merely a critique. Not really. I hate that word critique. This is a growth session, okay? This is what I call a real animator. Let's go into term for here and now. I hate the word critique. I can't stand it. I'm not criticizing anyone or anything. I'm helping Sean grow. That's what I'm doing. This is a growth session, okay? Right. So this is coming out here like this. So here we have that. So there we can see by adding the breakdown between there and there, we're going to add the slow in into that pose. So we're taking some time so we feel the weight, okay, and then we're going to close quick, and then I'm going to add one between hair and hair to settle, okay, to settle around here. So one breakdown between hair and hair to settle that. Right. And of course, if I would go back and revisit that mouth shape, but we are kind of pressed for time, and I've proved my point. I'm almost animating this for myself now, but there we go. So again, I'm just going to have this as a half where we're going to kind of open that lip up and drag it back, okay? So this is going to kind of come back on itself like this. Kind of going to have the eyes just coming back on itself, and we're not going to want to slow in too much here, so we need to time it carefully. We're not going to want to slow in too much because, as I mentioned, you could push it too much to the point where the squash and stretch will kind of ruin the effect rather than help it. There's an art to good squash and stretch and good cartooning. Slowing in is very powerful and important, but we don't want the slow in when we're working with these kind of exaggerated shapes. We want to know what we can do and what we can't do, or what helps it and what hinders it. Right, there we go. Right, so hopefully that'll kind of, yeah. So we have a rotation in the lips, but I would change the shape now of these lips to make these lips a little bit more interesting. Never mind. So we have the slow in like this. Whew. So you see, it still needs in betweening, okay? But hopefully you can see that we can really feel the okay? And that's where we're gonna like add the, not the because he'd need to close his mouth, so and then you could add like a vibrating lips and have some kind of like kind of thing at the end if you wanted. Make it more horse-like and then bring it back. So again, you really, again, you know, sometimes the animator wouldn't have any sound to animate to this. We didn't. So you can see, hopefully that's been quite insightful to you, Sean. So just let's very quickly just, you know, how long did the stream take? It took 1 hour 15 minutes. And let's bring this in. So if we look at what you had here, which was very, very nice. So you see how we've kind of built on that and added to that with nicer arcs, more squash and stretch in the head, and better timing. But lovely stuff. Let's look at Sean's thing once more. So we have this going on here. And he does my favorite thing there. And he comes up here. See what you could hear, he could drop and hang a bit. Okay, here, Sean. And then you see how the rope stays stiff. Oh, wait, just a quick pointer. As he snores, he could like rise up and then drop down with the rope as well. He could still be swinging and bouncing. We could change the bouncing. But again, it's taken me almost 2 hours to give you feedback on just the snore. Granted, that feedback is, you know, this is if you was animating on a movie, you'd understand, you know, what you got 25 seconds worth here. So this is, you know, this is a long amount of seconds to animate for feature standards. So you got to understand how anal we would be. You probably do understand how anal they are, even though they're sequels. Peter Pan 2, I remember, had some lovely scenes in it. So you probably know how anal people are. So hopefully I've given you some insight into just how, if I was the directing animator, I would take you to one side and then explain to you a few things of what I'd be looking for in the animation. And I know that this information is going to sink in and help you, Sean, and it's been my absolute pleasure to share this stuff with you and with everybody else. So thanks a lot for that opportunity. Sean says, I have to go to a meeting, but I've gotten so much from this. Thanks, AMB. You keep me going. Same with everyone here. Peace. Okay, thanks, Sean. Perfect timing. I am going to pretty much end this stream and link it into the Facebook group. For those of you who don't know, again here, are you able to cancel the PayPal e-check? I'm going to send the money. Okay, this person is joining the library. Okay, I don't know. She's talking to me online. She's just joined the library. I need to send her the invite. When I get the invite, I will definitely welcome her into the library and all that stuff. But I don't know what is happening. So anyway, that's all shop talk. So this group you don't need to pay for. Okay, it's a Facebook group, right? So you can just go to Real Animator Growth, Development and Progress. It's for members and non-members. You get 9 free Real Animator training library videos from my exclusive training archive to play around with there, so the non-members can have fun with those and have a feel of some Real Animator training exercises. And, you know, you get all kinds of people posting. You get all kinds of posts. But the one thing that I really love is most of the posts stay true to the name of this group, which is Growth, Development and Progress. So, which is what we can definitely see from the people who are studying from the training library and from the free training library exercises in here. And also, it's been my pleasure to post Sean's feedback. I will post Sean's feedback in this group. so that anybody who missed it on YouTube can watch it within the group and continue to grow, develop, and progress. Before I go, I'm going to have a little talk to my YouTube people and see what people are saying online. Double A says, I know the word critique has a negative connotation, but it's an assessment with you and with knowledge, and if taken and applied, produces growth, I think. I'm not sure of a better word. I call it a growth session. Okay, I like the word growth session. I hail from Toronto. Awesome way of confirming what I said. Thank you. Okay, well, we've had a very quiet chat by the looks of it. Dwayne Stafford Gale, absolutely. I'm so happy that this resource is here, and AMB Animation is open to sharing his knowledge and wisdom with passionate animators. Of course, you know, I once read somewhere something about creating an impression of increase and advancement with everyone who you come in contact with. The resource kind of escapes me for a minute. Oh God, what did I? Anyway, and I remember writing that down. I was so taken by it because I thought that's the way that you can really, really help people, is to make them feel inside that they've really learned something and that this is something that can really help them inside. And that's why I chose the name Real Animator Training, because when you first listen to the word real, you're going to get skeptical about it. Just like we got people dropping off the chats now. They've taken their info. That's right. They don't want to hear the talk. That's fine. But so they hear that and they're skeptical. But then as they see and they watch, they know inside that this is stuff that's going to really help them. And that's what gives me so much motivation to keep continuing with this. That as I look in that group, I really am seeing real results from people. And the great thing is I'm building a resource for myself of animators who I can start paying as I grow to help me, because not only do they understand hand-drawn animation, they understand my way of working as well. So people like Aaron AOX and Life Fantasy and people like that, I immediately jump to my mind when I think about, I might need some cleanup work, I might need some assisting, I might even in the future need some rough animation. So as these people keep growing and hopefully as I have more ambitious projects on the way, I'm building a resource that I can believe in myself because I've watched them grow. And who better to give an opportunity to than the people who have really wanted to learn, you know, in there. Okay, let's just have a look up here and just speed through some of this. It's a little ball pendulum creature. I really need to buy access to the library. I'm thinking of going to college or mentor soon. A good investment since you will knock animation rent. Thank you, Alan. I'm studying anatomy through somebody's course and it's really comprehensive, but I still have a long way to go. Okay, well, I'm glad that you have a good resource. I've been trying to animate my own scene as a test to see if I can create something competent. To be honest, you should go to I've heard many who've gone to animation schools and feel like they've learned nothing, but software AMB shows you all the things you need to know. Thank you, Pat. This is just so cool to be reading all this stuff from people in the chat. I no longer have to tell people about my library. You guys are doing it for me without my request. So I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Thank you. What Wacom do you use? You know what? I use a Wacom. Here's the Wacom I use, okay? You can't even buy it anymore. It's so old. It's called the 12. It's called the 12WX. It's not even HD. I've got two Wacoms. One is in New Zealand, okay, and one is here in the UK. I've come back to my hometown in the UK, and I like my 12WX. To be honest with you, feels more like paper than the HD one. So, but you know, so it really doesn't matter. Okay, it's just a tool. It's like asking Gordon Ramsay which frying pan does he use, rather than what the techniques is he using. It's helping me grow as an animator highly. In my opinion, if you can offer to enter the library, do it. You can learn anatomy with the animation. Absolutely. Thank you, Eric. I learned from the Animator Survival Kit first, and to be honest, the oversimplified mentioned methods of teaching can develop bad habits. Okay, well, there's an insight from Patch Tunes about the Survival Kit. Akao the Warrior, how are you doing? I tried to study animation myself from this year, but I wasted many times. But no more waste of time. AMB is helping me a lot. ASJ, awesome. Thank you. I'll try to give you some feedback in the video, but I don't really, you don't really need much at the moment because you're doing so well. What I will say is, where is it? Where is that Firefox window? That's that one. That's this one. There was nothing really to say about your work. Okay, Shay is online asking me if her... okay, I've got somebody online joining the library asking me if the payment has got through in my chat. It has. I haven't received any email as of yet, Shay, but I'll let you know. I'm on live at the moment. If you're watching me, I'm live at the moment. So ASJ, before I go, there's nothing really to say. You're doing really well. Just keep following the exercises. The only thing I would say about this jumping ball, it's very subtle stuff, is I feel the stretch more than the squash. Okay, not so much in this one. I kind of like that one. Was it actually that maybe that was an older critique. Did you post a new one? I'm sure you did, where I kind of felt. If not, then just keep going because you're just doing fine. You're doing. You know what? Scratch that. You're just doing fine. Just keep you're bossing those early exercises, ASJ. Let's not look for unnecessary stuff that isn't there. Saving up to get access, 250 saved. Awesome. Thank you, Montesar Chowdhury. Thank you so much. I hope I pronounce your name right. Although my family hail from India, I have the great shame in not being able to speak my mother tongue. Did you guys do background yet? No, not as of yet. We are focusing purely on animation. It's animator training. You see, we will be focusing on background, layout, and all those things, but that is not animator training. This is real animator training. Okay, for you to learn a craft. Let's not clump them all together and pull the wool over people's eyes as if somehow it is all so simple. Okay, it is also simple, but there has to be this thing called focus. You probably will be seeing more of me soon. Awesome. The slight up on the eyes indicates the beauty of animation. Simple things make absolutely. There's more to it than that. Hip swivel and move away. It's not quite explained much in the survival. Thank you, Patch Tunes. A man was a master. He obviously knew his stuff. He just couldn't fit it in the book, but he did a lot of animation, and making comparisons between A and B and him doesn't help. Yeah, I guess so, Akao. You know what? I'm grateful for all of the support that I get. Different people learn from different sources, and that's fine. As long as you're learning from professionals, established, recognized professionals, that's what matters. Thanks, guys. I'll probably say awesome. AMB's coursework will definitely advance. Thank you so much. It was a surprise for me when teacher said about feeling it instead of getting worried about doing it perfectly. Absolutely. Don't think, feel. Okay, Sean is there. I'd have done anything to have AMB's training in the 90s. I've done a lot of crazy stuff in production. His teaching is beyond anything I've seen in animation. Thank you. Well, you know what? The 90s have gone, Edge Deep. So, we're living in the here and now. And onward and upward, my friend. Onward and upward, Yeah. What's gone is gone. I've been memorizing an amazing passage that I read. I don't think I can remember it, so I'm not going to embarrass myself, about moving on and forgiving and letting go of the past. And I'm going to share it with you all when I've remembered it. I like to memorize things that mean something to me. Is it all right to join? Yeah, Amrit Pal. I love that. I love that. Hey, mate. I love that. Hey, mate, is it all right to join? Yeah, it's free for all. You can't join the inner circle. The inner circle is disbanding at the end of this year anyway. But there's another one called the Growth, Development and Progress. It's for everybody, not just library members. For everybody. Okay, just go to Facebook and join. You will be allowed. But, bear in mind the group is called Growth, Development and Progress. So posts like this are not really going to be, we're not looking down on them, but we're not going to pay much attention to them because they're not really about growth, development and progress. So you've got something like, where is it? Something like this here, okay? This stuff here and this stuff here. We've told him that he's got 9 free videos to study from the training library. He doesn't have to pay me a penny. Those 9 videos alone will teach him more than the majority of animation courses out there, and they're absolutely free. It's for him to look there. But I'm gonna say Zain Latif gives me a lot of respect. But Zain Latif, one thing I don't encourage is I don't like this kind of feedback. It's a little bit rude. Okay. Sometimes I'm harsh online, but I'm harsh online because I'm getting through to a certain audience. When I give feedback, I'm never rude. So let's just be a little bit mindful about things like that. Let's not hurt people's feelings with the things we say. So yeah, this is open for everyone. Nice squash and stretch in the face. Maybe I should probably start watching these on my actual animation account then. Meaning if we're following, from my personal, I've been at a plateau animation wise. The survival kit is an excellent start, but you have to put study and work to improve from there. I'm glad Patch Tunes is making the most of my studies. It's all about frequencies. Whoever's frequency you're on, I'm glad me and you're on the same frequency, Patch Tunes, so that you can learn from me so effectively. MB is a well of knowledge in that regard. I'm getting embarrassed reading some of these comments. So thank you guys. Thank you so much, Mr. Leon. Thank you for explaining. Good insight is right. Yeah, it's Storyboard Pro for those asking. I remember that. Okay. Back to the critique. Oh, yes. What would you recommend after attempting the ball bounce moving across the screen and the pendulum? I don't have access to the library, but I'm unsure. Just keep playing with those things. Try to achieve different weights and arcing, swinging effects on your own, Montessor. That's all I can say. And then maybe ask some of the other members in the group and keep an eye on what they're doing. Some of the other members are library members. Have a look at the kind of things they're doing and let that inspire you as to what you could be doing. Yes, you won't have the instruction, but you can use your imagination and the things you've learned. It's me. I changed the account name during this streaming. Yes, I know it's UASJ. I remember because of the Korean thing. Because I'm not going to pretend I know anything about speaking Korean, but it was so funny. I was at a dinner table in my restaurant, at a restaurant, and there was some Korean people, and I was telling my wife, shh, I want to listen. I want to see if I can understand what they're saying. She says, when can you speak Korean? I said, well, I've taught Taekwondo. She says, really? So what do you know in Korean? Well, I know upchagi, yopchagi, duichagi, dolyochagi. And she burst, she nearly choked on her food. She says, as if they're going to be sitting there saying front kick, back kick, side kick. Turning haktari sugi, like crane stance, as if they're going to be sitting there saying that to you. Eat your food, and so but I know that I recognize the name, so I'm not going to forget that that's you, Sojung. I think the question about what tablet you use might be relevant. The fact that you use a 12WX proves you won't have to work big to get amazing things done. Well, that's a fantastic way of looking at it, Lily Chan. Yeah. Thank you for putting some a positive slant onto that. Damoto, yes, the inner circle was only ever 3 years, you know. So that you're still a library. You've still got the library for life, Damoto. But the inner circle it was only a 3-year deal, and now we've got growth, development, and progress. You can just jump in there. I know this sounds like a beginner question, but when it comes to timing, is it only halves and thirds and the variation of them? No, there's one more senior called favor. Okay, there's one more called favor. Okay, where we go right down, but it's mainly halves and thirds. Okay. We need your wife on stream sometimes. Well, I'm gonna see if I can get her to record a Christmas message from New Zealand to some of my, you know, when I make my Christmas video. It's almost ready to be released, and yeah, maybe we can get that going on. Absolutely right. Now I'm gonna go. It's been absolutely fascinating sharing this knowledge with you, helping everybody grow, develop, and progress. And I'm going to end the stream, and I'll see you all. Korean friends of mine always say you can learn Korean alphabet in half an hour. Yeah, I guess that's like me saying you can learn animation in half an hour. There has to be a will. There has to be a real will, you know. I guess. But okay. Thanks a lot, everybody. I'm gonna see you all later. It was a pleasure doing the stream. Bye bye.